Okay. So my company is Legacy Private Bank. I introduced, or actually started this company this year. This particular in portion of the company started out with First Financial Education Centers out of St. Augustine, Florida, and expanded from there into First Financial Education Centers of Orlando, and now Legacy Private Bank is where I've kind of taken it from here with this side of what we're doing here. Um, just a little bit of background information when you see Legacy Private Bank all over the place. That is my company. So right now we're talking about ideal financial instrument. How would you build your ideal financial instrument? We would say that I think most people want to have some sort of guarantees built into that. You don't have to worry about the fluctuations of your money. One of the biggest things when it comes to your money growing is being able to have the rule of 72 of compound interest. Well, compound interest does not work when you have interrupted returns like you have on the current market right now, where we took the hit with COVID coming into play, or any particular thing that may happen where the market takes these different dives. You have to understand with the market, it is not designed that it's going to go up all the time. There are going to be periods of time where the market is going to go down. Uh, it's just a problem with that is when you have retirement money put aside and it's time for you to pull upon that retirement money when the market is going down, that's when you don't want to hear it. Because now you're looking at not only your money being depleted, but also taxes that you're going to have to pay on it because most of you are probably putting your money into government programs like 401ks and IRAs and 403bs and such. But when we talk about building our own financial instrument, one of the things we want is a guaranteed return on our money. We want to have dividends, yields, uh, something that is as the company does better, we want to do better. So they pay out these dividends to us um, that are constant. In fact, what I'm going to be introducing you to here tonight, they have never missed a dividend payment in over 148, 450 some odd years. It just doesn't happen. Continuous and uninterrupted compounding, just talked about that. Very important uh, that you have that in terms of when you because you cannot compound if you have interruptions in the compound. I had a slide that I used to show people about how that works, where if you saved a penny a day, uh, after I think it was like 20 some odd days, you'd have about 30 something $1,000 saved up in your account. But if you had something that happened on that next day where your money had to be taken or used for some other purpose and it couldn't grow that money or compound on that money, you would have gone from at the end of the 30 days to having almost over $1 million in your account to basically starting over because you are in a situation where you interrupted the compounding. So that's very important to understand when it comes to having continuous compounding. All right, lowest possible historical risk. So we talked about the market usually having these different risks involved with it. But in this particular entity or this particular program or financial instrument, we want the lowest possible historical risk. So there's very little risk at all, if any, honestly, with this system that we're going to show you tonight. Tax-free growth, because we don't want to have to pay taxes on this money that we grow. That's pretty self-explanatory. Asset protection. Any assets that you place into the system is totally protected. Can't be sued upon because we'll get into the details of it, but I can tell you it has asset protection. Anything you put into it is protected. Uh, Multiply generational wealth transfer that is tax-free. We talk about IRA money that I mentioned a little bit earlier. When you look to transfer that money onto your families, they're going to have a tax burden. Here, you don't have to worry about that situation at all. And you can use the money or the cash without affecting the tax-free growth. This is one of the most biggest components of understanding having to build your own financial instrument. In this case, you want that aspect in it because in this situation of having a banking component, this allows you to be able to put money into the system and use it for other purposes and still earn interest on the money that you put into the system. We'll talk about that in a minute in detail. So what is this instrument? It is a whole life insurance policy, but not what you might be thinking, oh God, whole life insurance. No, it's not that stuff that you hear these different talking heads talk about that, oh, you don't want to have a whole life insurance policy. That's not what we do. This particular type of policy is a high cash value, dividend paying, permanent whole life insurance policy with a mutual insurance company. And it needs to have all of those terms in it in order for this to work for what we're trying to do. Okay. When we talk about a mutual company allows for the policy owner is the one who benefits from the growth of that company. As the company does better, the policy owners are the ones who benefit through the dividends. Versus it being a regular insurance company or an insurance company that's not a mutual company, they're stock-owned companies. So their purpose is to make the stockholders happy, not the policyholders. They don't pay dividends. They just make sure their stock is well. So we want a company that is a mutual insurance company that is benefiting the policyholders, paying dividends, and set this up in a high cash value situation. Now, I'll go into more detail about that. High cash values. With the high cash values, this is something that is about how the policy is structured. It's not structured in a way that anybody who may have had a policy in the past, or you may have one now, where your cash values were very low in the first couple of years. We're structuring these policies to where if you put money into the policy, just to give an example, you put $10,000 into the policy, you have immediately $50,000 to $60,000. I'm sorry, I said 50,000. I said $100,000 into this policy. You're going to have immediately $50,000 to $60,000 of that $100,000 available to you immediately. So these particular types of policies, the way we structure them, we want you to have immediately an immediate availability of 50 to 60% of the money you put into it right up front for you to be able to use it for the purposes of banking. And we'll get into a little bit more detail. Dividends, again, you're going to get dividends paid to you every year from these companies because they are mutual companies. And as they do better, they continue to pay dividends and have never missed these dividend payments in over 150 years. Which of course includes all the wars that we have had. They've never missed them, even going through even the Civil War, still was paying dividends back in those days. Okay. Guaranteed returns, we talked about. It's permanent, it's protected, tax-free growth from A+ rated mutual life insurance companies. We deal with only the top rated companies that are out there. I have folks sometimes always ask me about, well, these are top rated companies, but I've never heard of them. And I would say that just because you haven't heard of them does not mean that they aren't one of the top rated. And that is because they're teaching you how to bank with the policy. These companies that we deal with, they understand banking when it comes to using a whole life insurance policy to do banking. Versus, I'm not going to name another company, but I can tell you that most agents out there today do not know how to deal with these types of policies. And the reason they don't is because their companies don't teach them how to do it. And they say, well, why is that, Chris? The reason they don't teach them how to do it is because when you talk about dealing with a banking situation, you are setting those policies up so that there is more cash than there is insurance in the policy. So we're trying to set it up on a 60% that is going toward the cash portion of it, 40% going into the insurance portion. Most insurance companies don't want that percentage, that breakup. They would rather you have 60% or more like 80% going into the insurance portion to give you this little bit of cash that you'll build up over a period of time. That's structured for insurance. We're structuring this for cash. So when it comes to looking at it that way, you talk to an agent. Some of you may have agents that you've dealt with, and you say, well, hey, I want to do a banking policy. Well, he might say, or she might say to you, well, yeah, I can do that for you. And I'll just give you a higher, we'll overfund the policy for you so you can bank with it, or you can do whatever you want to with it. Well, overfunding is not what we're talking about, okay? Because when you truly understand a banking situation and you truly have a banking policy, and again, I'll go through this in detail with each and every one of you who would like to get further information on that. When you truly have that type of a policy, you have a situation where the agent is taking a 50 to 60% hit on commissions. So most agents don't even, if they don't understand this, they don't even want to do it when you tell them that. Like, okay, they just don't want to do it because they're used to coming in and they're getting 100%, 90%, 80% upfront on the dollars that you're putting into that policy. They're not used to coming into something like this, and we're telling them, hey, you're going to take about a 50, 60% hit on your commissions. And your clients are going to be very happy that you did it. And it's very true, okay? When you truly understand what this is all about. But that is how they have to be structured for this to work for the individual that's going to use it for a banking situation. Okay. So like I said, there are three parties involved with this. You have the owner, the insured, which can be the same, owner and insured, and the beneficiary. All right, so when we look at the banking system, I'll try to go through this flow for you here. Looks kind of jumbled up the way this is put on this slide, but I'll try to explain to you how this flow works. So let's picture this down here. This logo of mine is you. Okay, you have your insurance policy, which gives you lifetime guaranteed growth. With that policy, it gives you loan privileges. You're able to take a loan from your policy and the money that you put into it. Your private banking system comes into play when you understand how to operate this system for the purpose of banking. So, and I say it this way because people get confused thinking that we're going to give you a bank. No, we're going to give you a properly structured whole life insurance policy that pays dividends from a mutual company and teach you how to use it to create your own banking system is what we're doing. Okay. So these policies have loan privileges. Once you take the loan and you understand how to use it as a banking system, now you can use this to go pay off debt. You can use it to go acquire other assets like real estate, whatever else business that you might want to start. Then as you pay off the debt or get returns on your other assets or other businesses that you're doing from the loans that you took from your banking policy, you now turn around and pay principal and interest back into your policy, thereby creating a banking system. So the first thing you have to do is understand banking when you look at this. When we talk about banks and what banks are able to do, what banks are able to create for themselves, because they are creating it pretty much out of thin air. When we talk about money, you put $1,000 into the bank. They use what's called fractional reserve banking to basically multiply that $1,000 9 times. And then they turn around and loan that 9 times money out to other individuals. Okay. Same situation here. We're showing you how to create your own fractional reserve, because now you're able to take this loan situation from money that you're depositing into your policy, just like the bank has you deposit money into their bank, except now you're able to now take that money and use it for any purpose that you want, just like the bank uses your money for any purpose that they want to get returns on it. They loan it out to others to get a return of interest to pay back into their bank and then to give you a little piece on the side of it. So when you think about that, if the bank is paying you, let's say they're paying you 4%, which we know good and well you're not going to get 4% from the bank in a banking account that you put in there. And let's say they turned around and loaned that money out to others and they get back 20% off of the money that you put in or that they use, that they're paying you 4% on. Okay. What's the difference in return on that? Some of you would probably say, oh, 16%. No, it's not 16%. It's 500%. You see, they multiplied your 4% 5 times. That's 500%. You can do the exact same thing by understanding the structure. So when people come to me and say, well, hey, what's the interest rate that I'm earning on this? And I do just what I just did. I chuckle a little bit because when someone asks me that question, I know they don't really understand what they have in their hands when they have this type of a situation. Because in your mutual funds or in your IRAs, your 401ks, you have an interest rate that you may have earned or you may have lost that year, whatever. Let's just say the market's going great, you earned all this money. 10%, 20% that you might have earned throughout a year, 30%, whatever that number might be. If I'm able to come back to you and say, well, hey, this company is going to give you a guaranteed 4% plus dividends, which equates to somewhere around 4 to 6% returns that you're getting on this the dividends are not guaranteed, but the 4% is guaranteed. Let me say that. But I'm able to come back to you and say, but hey, if you understand how to use this for banking, you can tell it how much interest you want to be earning. Because you are the one that is the banker. You own the bank in this situation. So in that example of saying you're earning 4% when the bank is earning 20%, well, in this situation, if you are saying, okay, I'm going to use this to go pay off debt, that I'm paying off 16% and 29 point whatever percent on the credit cards and the student loans, and I'm able to eliminate that debt from going from a situation where I have 20 plus years to pay off the house mortgage, and I can now, because I implemented this system, pay that mortgage off in 5 years or 7 years. You just created a situation where now you can take those dollars that you were using before, paying into all those different things. Now you're totally debt free of paying 30, 40% interest to somebody else, that you've now recaptured that interest back into your own pocket, putting it back into your banking system. How much interest did you just gain? What is your return? And I ask, what is your return? Because it's about where you are. And that's not even using any additional money. That's just saying, hey, this is what I got now. I'm paying all these different bills, these different debts. I just want to get from underneath all this stuff. But I am able to save a little bit. All I'm going to do is come to you and say, hey, let's show you how to restructure your situation, show you how you can create your own banking system with the same money that you're already dealing with right now. And I'm going to show you how you can earn way more than you would ever think of earning on the market. It's not even comparable. And I'll put that up against anybody. This system is the best thing that has ever been created for when you talk about being able to create wealth for yourself and use the money today, because you have use of this now. You don't have to put money into it and say, oh, I got to wait till I'm 59 and a half to pull money out of here without penalty. No, we're not talking any of that. This is use the money today. Okay? There's no taxable explosion that's going to happen because you saved all that money into a government plan like a 401k or an IRA, where you're waiting on what the tax ax is going to be, because you have no clue what the taxes will be when it's time for you to take that money out. There's none of that going on here. And I speak very strongly about that is because we have been lied to. And there's just no other way to say it. You've been lied to believe that that is the way to create wealth. That is the way to keep you within a system of paying taxes, of limiting your growth, of denying your family the legacies that have been built by those who understood it, understood the other side that I'm about to show you. And I just need you guys to understand this and hear me tonight, that you have to change your mindset. This is nothing like what you've been exposed to in the past, because we don't learn this in school. Your bank is not going to teach you this. Most of our parents had no clue about this. So we got to take some other steps now to know that there's something better out there for you. So let's move forward. Trust and foundations. Now we're getting into the secrets of the elite. And I say that because in the past this was a secret. It still is. Now, people don't know about this that I'm about to show you. It's a secret. I can't even market this to you. I cannot put this on an ad and say, hey, come click here and learn about trust and foundations. I cannot do it. The only way I can teach this to you is in a platform like you're getting right now to educate you. It has to be an educational platform. Can't market it. But it is absolutely legal. Have you ever wondered why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? The reason is because there's a different playing field. There's different rules. So you have to understand the power of contracts. We're going to go into that in detail here in just a minute. Putting your money to work. Never use money only once. These are principles that create true wealth. Trust and foundations. The U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1, says that no state shall pass any law impairing the obligation of contracts. A trust is a contract. Foundations are built on contracts. You can set this up in any form, any manner you want to. And as long as it's set up inside of a contract that's signed off on, that's legal, has to be legal, of course, no state or government entity can impede it. They can't say, oh, we don't like the way you wrote that out. No, we're not going to allow that. Can't do it. It's from the U.S. Constitution. It's not just me. This is, you go out there and read Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1. It says a lot more than what you see here, but this is the biggest portion that we're talking about within it. No state shall pass any law impairing the obligation of contracts. So we can write our own contracts with one another. And those contracts are protected by the U.S. Constitution, and the terms will be held in a court of law. So when you talk about going to court on a contract, the judge can't say, oh, well, no, I don't think this contract is fair when two parties have signed off on it. You can't say that. What he can say is whether or not the two parties that signed off on it, if one party did something that was not agreed upon, that's what he's judging. You can't judge the contract itself. That's very important to understand. Judge Leonard Hand is quoted as saying, anyone may so arrange his affairs that his taxes shall be as low as possible. He's not bound to choose that pattern which best pays the treasury. There is not even a patriotic duty to increase one's taxes. So basically, what he's telling you here is you don't have to pay more taxes than you're supposed to pay. So let me keep going here because I'll get a little further. He went on to say, in America, there are two tax systems, one for the informed and one for the uninformed. Both of them are legal. So I'm giving you a hint here that there is another way. It's absolutely legal. You can go to the IRS site tonight, type in some of the information I'm going to share with you here in a moment, and see for yourself, because I didn't make this up. This is all true. It's right there on the website in plain view. Folks just don't know what they're looking at. Here's the structure of how a trust and foundation works. So you have your businesses in an LLC, and you can have any number of LLCs that you want to have. The way you would structure this is you want to have 98% owned by your trust. And we'll go into detail about how this works. I'm just going to give you the general overview of it, of how it works. 98% be owned by the trust. Write this out here. Okay, 98%. Owner is the trust. 2% goes to you. Okay. Any money that goes into the trust, you're going to have expenses. Of course, you have business expenses. You're going to write those business expenses off within the trust. Then whatever's left over passes on to the family trust. Now, the business expenses or the business trust, the expenses you're going to write against the business are all business expenses. Now, your family trust, because you are a trustee of the trust, your contracts will allow for you to take care of the trustee, because the trust is a person. It's just not a breathing one, but it is a person, legal person. It can develop credit. It can buy things. It can sell things. Just doesn't breathe. It can own things. It can make money. Okay. But it has to have a breathing person take care of it. So that person is the trustee. Right? The trustee has to live. You got to pay your mortgage or rent, whatever it is you're staying. You need to eat, buy clothes, drive cars, travel, go on vacations. Whatever it is you do, you need to live. Well, the family trust, that's what it's designed for. Any expense of the trustee is handled within the family trust. So any money that is, excuse me, that is put within the business trust, let's just say, for example, there's $100,000 made. $100K. $100,000 was made in the LLCs and passed on to the business trust. So 98%. 98% of that $100,000 would be $98,000. Okay, that means $2,000 went to you. Okay, the trust files what's called a 1041. Oops. Forgive me here. I'm trying to write this with a pad. It's a little difficult. files a 1041 form, as where you file a 1040. Okay. I don't think I need to tell you how much taxes you paid on that $2,000 that you made that year. Pretty much none. Your trust, however, has $98,000 that's in it, and it's going to write off expenses of the businesses, whatever you have in it. Okay? After those expenses, whatever that money that passes on, let's just say that there were, just for sake of argument, let's say you had $50,000 of expenses. That you wrote off uh, as business expenses for that business. Okay. That means an additional $48,000 is going to pass to the family trust. The family trust, again, has to take care of its trustees. So if you have a mortgage, you buy food, you travel, you buy gas, you take care of your car, what else you gotta do? Grocery shopping, and you get the point. All those expenses are written off from the family trust. Anything that is left over passes to the charitable trust. The charitable trust only job is to pass money to the private family foundation. Now, the private family foundation is a 501c3 entity, tax-free. It's private though, not public. Just like any other nonprofit that you might have heard of out there, it can obtain a nonprofit certificate or a tax-free certificate from whatever state you live in. And you won't be paying sales tax. The other thing about it is all the income that you've passed through the family trust to the charitable trust that gave it to the private family foundation that you're all trustee of, you control all of this, you don't pay taxes on it either. So that means you've written off $98,000 of $100,000 that was made from your businesses that year. And there's no tax due. It's absolutely legal and private. Now, why don't you want to leave money in a private trust itself or in the family trust or even in the charitable trust? It's because they pay more taxes than, or they would be susceptible to more taxes than us as individuals. 39.6%, I believe, is what it comes out to be. So we don't want to leave money there. We want to pass it on to the next entity until it gets into that private family foundation. Okay? That's the purpose of why this is structured this way. Now, the private family foundation, being a 501c3 entity and being private, it has some obligations. The purpose of it is for charitable obligations. You tell it what those charitable obligations are, or you tell the government what those charitable obligations are when you create it. Okay? Be for whatever purpose you want it to be created for. Great thing about this is that, and I'm not getting too much detail, but there's a rule within the private family foundation called the 5% expenditure rule. And that means that any money after the second year that's in your foundation, you have to use 5% of that money for the purpose of the growth of the foundation. Now, that the banking system that I showed you initially, that counts toward that 5%. You taking what we call vacations now, there's another term for it for private family foundations, because now when you go on these trips, you're going to seek out obligations to be able to see what kind of charitable purpose can I find in this area. That's anywhere you want to travel. There's a term for it. This leaves me right now as to what the name of the term, but it's basically a trip that you get to take every year and include it in that 5% expenditure. And you also get to give some money to charity if you so choose. That counts towards it as well. Okay. So when I talk about there's another side, this is a whole nother way of living. Excuse me. I can tell you, my wife and I have been, like I said, we fully have had ours in place now 3 years. Um, it's a totally different way of living, totally different way. I don't know how I can say this to you. We both have our own businesses and we just don't pay taxes. Don't need to. We don't have to. We pass it on. We do what we do with our private family foundation and we grow our businesses and our trusts. That's the way we live our life. We still buy stuff. We're about to buy a new house. But guess who's going to own the house? Either the foundation or the trust. Because we don't own anything. We control it all. That's the key to this. You want to set yourself up where you own nothing, but control everything. And that's what this system will allow you to do. So let's move on from here. Let's get into this boutique opportunity that pays you 36% annual return. So I've just shown you a way to create money through your banking system and continue to grow it there. As you continue to do this and grow, there's going to be situations where, okay, you need to put money aside that can't necessarily fit into your bank yet, until you have to wait for a period of time, or if you're developing a new bank. Remember, it's insurance, so they have limitations, and we just build upon those banks. By the way, when one is totally funded, we build another one. Just get another policy. It's just like building another bank down the street, and that's how this is done. But we have other ways and other means of putting our money aside and still be able to earn a very nice growth upon it. Now, and Byron spoke to you earlier, excuse me, about having about me teaching how to trade, teaching individuals how to trade. We do have a trading organization out there where we teach people how to trade, and they're doing a whole lot better than 36% annually. But we have people that just don't want to do that, and that's fine. We got this. So I'm going to talk to you what this is all about here. You need to understand the difference between a consumer versus a capitalist. Okay, and you think, oh, capitalist, that sounds bad, horrible. No, it's a great thing, actually. Okay, a consumer, they make money, they spend the money, and the money is gone forever. And that's pretty much what we've been taught. To make money, might tell you to save some of it in order to spend it later, and then it's gone. Versus a capitalist works for their money. They put that capital to work. Capital is generating money, which continues to work for more capital. That's how you want to be structured. And that's what this system will allow you to be able to do. Your money is always working for you. It does not sit for 20, 30 years until you turn 59 and a half and wait on the government to come take their piece of it. We don't do that. We don't teach that. So what is this boutique program? It's a private loan issued to a global capital investment firm in London, Dubai, and Hong Kong. And I'm telling you, the folks who introduced this to us, they spent like 3 years trying to find this, because there are other types of these entities out there, that are paying far more than 36% a year, but you need to have way more than $30,000 because the minimum call it investment into this plan is $30,000 versus it being uh, 5 million, 10 million, 100 million in some of these other same type programs. They just deal with the ultra wealthy folk, uh, and you wonder why these folks they don't have, when you get to that level, it's just a totally different ball game. Totally different. They're just privy to certain things that the regular person just never would know that this exists. But this particular one's lowest that they were able to get it to at $30,000. You can get a guaranteed 36% a year. They're going to pay you monthly 3% every single month, direct deposited into your bank account. Okay. It is a private loan. We go forward to hear about it. It's a 12-month term renewable loan situation. 3% of the loan amount is delivered to note bearers' account monthly, like I just said. It's not compounded. In order, they will allow you to compound, but you got to have a whole lot more than $30,000 to be able to do it. I'm talking in excess of $10 million before they allow you to compound it, which is crazy, but that is true. Upon renewal, loan amount may be increased. And you're not locked into this over that 12-month period. If something happens and you need your money, they don't have a problem with sending you your money at all. But you are signing into a 1-year contract with them. And basically, a way to think about this, it's a situation where if you think of it like a car lease, maybe you're familiar with that, where the dealership leases you their car and you pay them a monthly amount for the privilege of leasing that car. You take care of the insurance on and all that good stuff. And at the end of that lease, you return that car to the dealership. You might renew it or not, but they still own it. You just get to use it because you leased it. Same thing here. Think of it that way. For the privilege of using your money, they're going to pay you 3% a month for it. And then at the end of that term, they're going to return your money to you, or you can renew it. Put more into it if you want to. Okay. This is something this company that offers this is a company, like I said, they're out of Dubai. We spoke to them ourselves just to get more information on it. Because I trade, so I don't necessarily worry about someone paying me 3% a month because I can do 10% a day. But that's just because I understand that, and I teach others to do that. But not everybody wants to trade, so here we have this for you. All right, and it's a great opportunity for you. So where's the money held? Funds are held with regulated banking partner in Dubai. It's held in trust. It's not removed or traded or commingled. Capital investment firms' liquidity enables distributions even in volatile market conditions. The funds held at the banking partner allow leverage trading. So what these folks are doing with the funds, they have a 10-to-1 leverage. And of course, my traders in the room know what that is. Well, most of them should know what that is. We talk about leverage because they're used to accounts that have 500-to-1, or even some of them have 1,000-to-1. These folks are using a 10-to-1 leverage with this money that they are basically borrowing from you. And that's just how they operate this system. Excuse me. How is this possible? It's a leverage position. They turning your $30,000 over 10 times and they get to trade $300,000 on your 30 without touching your 30. Okay. So it's 12 trade desks with a single currency pair each, provide positive absolute returns in all market conditions, protect against unfavorable market returns is what the way they've structured this. And again, they've been doing this now for many years. I don't remember the exact number, but they've been out there for a while doing this system. They're licensed in their areas. Again, the money is 100% protected for you if you're interested in it. Here's some of the returns that they've done the first quarter this year. Just showed you what they've done in the past. Here you see March of this year was when COVID struck. It 1.1% that month, 8%, 8.8 the first month, 7.3 the next, 17.2% over that first quarter. So they weren't necessarily worried about COVID. They also have over $500 million that they're working with right now. And I think it was like about $200,000 of that is reserve money. So very solid the way they operate. These guys are very serious about it. Again, if you want more information on this, we can have you speak with them directly. This is not me. We don't hold your money in any form or fashion. We just connect you with these different opportunities that are out there. So they'll sit down, give you all the documents you need. If that's something you're interested in talking about with them, you can absolutely do that as well. Just remember, it all starts with the banking system to get to all this other things. Because if you don't have that banking system, you don't have an entry. You're not structured correctly to even be a part of this stuff. Okay, that is very important to understand. So how to proceed? They do a client onboarding process. They have a know your client process in compliance with international banking regulations. Of course, prevention of money laundering or any other illicit or prohibited activities. Review and execute the agreement that they'll give to you, and then you fund the program. That's how that works with them. All right, so 2 roads diverged in the woods, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference, says Robert Frost. Those are very true words, because a lot of us have been on a road that has been traveled by everyone because you were not informed. Today, you have been informed. You can no longer say you don't know or you didn't know. Question is, what are you going to do with the information? You have an opportunity now to sit down with me, figure out your situation, and start where you start. You do not have to be a multi-millionaire to do this. You don't have to be even a multi-thousandaire to do this. You just got to be willing to start where you are. And you probably may be asking, well, what is that number? That's where you are. We first must understand or get into our heads that in order for you to make a change, you got to take some steps. And the first step is simply getting us your numbers. You can contact me directly. Go to my website at legacyprivatebank.com. Contact me through the site. I'll get in contact with you from there. And we'll go over how this can work for you. What does your numbers look like? How soon can you get out of debt? How long is it going to take you to meet your goals that you really want to attain in your life? Okay. Doesn't cost you a dime to do that. All right. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, great. Okay. But find out. That's what I would ask you to do. Thank you, folks, for your time tonight. If you have any questions, we'll open it up now for any questions that you may have.
Yeah, I got on late. Thank you.
Go ahead, man. I'll get next.
Yeah, mine is short. Thank you, Chris. I got on late, but
Okay.
I never forgot that you gave me those recordings. But I definitely want to learn more about this.
Okay.
I was trying to see how I was gonna do with my trading, but apparently I'm starting over on that. So I still want to talk to you anyway, and see what I can do.
No problem. Let's do that.
Okay, I'll be coming back at you.
All right, Arthur.
Thank you again.
You're welcome, brother.
Okay.
Hey, how you doing, Chris? My name is Keith.
Hey, Keith.
Just a quick question. So I know you had mentioned earlier you want to kind of control everything but not own anything.
Right.
and you want to be able to put, like, say for instance, your mortgage and your house into a trust.
Yes.
Now, can I talk to you about, okay, when you're applying for a mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're not owning it, how do you go about building your credit for the trust so that you can apply for a mortgage?
How did you build credit for yourself?
Okay, so I have to build my personal credit up. They still look at that.
Well, I can tell you the easiest and quickest way to build credit for a trust is to use yourself. If you have decent credit, use yourself as the backing for the trust to establish the credit for the trust.
Okay.
That's the easiest way to get it started.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to you on your website and we'll talk some more.
No problem.
All right. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And what is considered decent credit, by the way? What kind of score? You have to have 700 and up?
I can tell you from what I've seen, yeah, they do want a 700 or above. But I mean, if you're in a situation where you don't have decent credit or you're not at those levels, we have other avenues to help you get there. So I would say, I don't care what situation you're in today. I really don't. We can help you if you want the help. So
Okay.
don't sit there. I'm not just talking to you, Arthur, but anybody. Don't sit there and say, "Well, I'm not in that position, or I don't make that kind of money." I don't want to hear that. Take the steps to find out what can be done for yourself. I don't care what situation you're in; it can be made better. All right.
Chris, you said the minimum for the legacy for that banking system was 30 G's.
Yeah, 30,000 is the minimum for that piece.
Okay, and you said the return was how much monthly?
3% a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Definitely, we'll be getting in touch.
No problem. Any other questions?
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, I just got to go on the website and we'll get together because I know this is the route that I want to go eventually.
All good.
Yeah, but thanks for the insight. I got a better understanding tonight.
Great.
Chris, this is Jacinth.
Thank you, Sam.
Hello?
How are
Can
you?
hear me. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Chris, really. Okay, so you know, I heard all the stuff that you talked about just now. I have a nonprofit, right? But it's mainly for, of course, as nonprofit does, for charity mainly and outreach and things like that.
Right.
But we also started two for-profit companies in the healthcare industry.
Okay.
Now, how would this work with regard to that? You talked about the foundations and all of that.
Right.
How could that even apply? Because, you know, you were referring to tax this and that.
Right.
And of course, we know we're pretty much on a very narrow margin when it comes to taxes. We are exempt with the nonprofit, but, you know, the 501c3.
Right.
But I was wondering in relation to the other companies and all that stuff.
No problem. Okay. The difference is that you have a public charity. This is a private foundation. So there's different rules and limitations that you have right now. We also have a nonprofit public charity. It's called Strengthening Our Sons, where the purpose of that is for mentoring boys. But that has limitations. So you can't, because the foundation is set up on a trust platform, it attaches that trust to a 501c3. When you understand that the trust itself has no limitation at all, it doesn't go out seeking donations from the public. It is, I'm gonna say it's not even a pass-through, it's an entity that holds money for you for the purpose of charitable purposes. So there are different limitations, and we can go into detail about that. But I just get to your question. It's totally different. You have that public charity, but that is not the same thing as having a private foundation. Now, when it comes to businesses that you have, you do want to be able to have those owned by a trust to be able to pass on to a private foundation. with your businesses, even though you are, well, you can probably write off and think about if the 501c3 public charity has a for-profit business that it has, it's still some limitations that you have within that.
Right.
You're still having to pass that income on to a person. And that is where the taxes are being paid when you pass the income to the person from those businesses.
Okay.
Follow me? So we're alleviating all of that with this structure.
Gotcha. So how would that work with regard to, you're saying you would have to place the for-profit businesses under private foundation? That's doable.
No.
You can do that?
You can do that, but that's not what I'm talking about doing. What I'm saying is you have the trust that is going to be the owner of your businesses.
Okay.
98% owner of the business. Then you're going to pass that money on through the business trust, to the family trust, to the charitable trust. And the reason you have a 3-trust system before it gets to the foundation is because, let's think about it, if you've had this for a number of years and you're continually passing money on to a private foundation, at some point there's going to be more in that private foundation than there is going to be in the business of family trust.
Right.
So you'll be living out of that private foundation at some point. When you think about having business, say the business, you want to go do some purchase of property or whatever it wants to do. Let's say it needs money from the private foundation because that's where most of your money is now, or at least the money you have control over is there. It's not yours. It's the trust and the foundation.
The trust, right?
So the if the business tried to go get money from the private foundation and it gave money to the private foundation directly, then it couldn't do it because the private foundation can't give money back to somebody who donated it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that is why we have the charitable trust in between the family and the business trust, so that if the family or business trust needs money in the future, it can now go and get it from the foundation because it never gave money to it. Charitable trust gave money to the foundation.
Okay. We could talk further about it. I'm sure it's a little deeper, yeah. But I'll get your information from Byron, and
great.
Unless you send us some from this presentation. But all righty. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Hey, Chris, I'm sorry, man. This is Keith again. I got one more question.
Sure, bro.
So I know you mentioned you're a trader. I'm a trader as well. Do we have to set up a business, or is there any way to put the profits from the trade straight into a trust?
You should always set up a business with your trading account.
Okay.
You didn't know that. Any traders out here, you want to set up an LLC for your trading business because that is a business.
Okay.
Okay. I'll just leave it at that for now. But yes, you want to set up a business for your trading.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. I guess not. I'm not going to hold you guys. Yes, sir.
Now, I was just going to say, Chris, I really do appreciate you coming on and sharing this wealth of knowledge with us.
Yes.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And for those of you that are on the call, if you not able to write down the information, trust me, I can get the information to you where you can speak directly with Chris. And personally, I can tell you, he will respond to your call. And trust me, he'll do everything he possibly can to help you. And if he can't help you, he'll direct you to where you can get the help. But again, Chris, thank you for your time on tonight. Thank you for the knowledge that you shared with us. And again, hopefully in the future, we'll get a chance to talk with you because there's still more information that you have, that I know you have, and that you can share with us even further in managing our destiny with our finances. So again, I want to say thank you so much.
You're welcome, bro.
Hey, Chris, this is Eddie. Thanks for the presentation, and you definitely have my interest, so I'll be in touch with you.
Okay, bro. Appreciate it.
Hey, Chris, this is Deborah. I'll be in touch with you also.
Okay.
And thank you for the presentation. It was great.
You're welcome. All right, folks, that's all you got. I'll go ahead and let you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll be looking forward to hearing from you.
Thanks, Chris.
You guys have a
Thanks,
good
Chris.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chris.
No,
You will
I
hear
was
from
saying.
me.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Thanks. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.